Hi everybody, and welcome back to the final session on fundraising with the Post-to model. If you haven't checked out our prior videos in the series, starting with the problem statement or how to hook investors, outlining your opportunity or your market TAM, and then stating your solution in a believable, credible way, please do check them out, links in the description below. But today we're going to be focusing on the team and the technology. This is your opportunity to show what you've been working on, show who you've brought with you, and really create a sense of credibility for you and for your company, that investors can start to believe that something is real and investable. So without any ado, let's dive into the technology slide. So the technology slide, you're looking at about 1, maybe to 2, 3 slides. And this is your opportunity to really go deep on what you're building. However, there's a caveat. When we looked at it on the solution slide, we talked about output, not features, outcome, not features. How is it going to be valuable to the end customer, not wowing people with the amazing technology you're building. Now that you're at the technology slide, there's opportunity to go a little bit wonky, to get some numbers out there, some specs, some features, and to expect those questions from the more technically savvy VCs. However, not all VCs, and probably most VCs, are not technically savvy. So if you go too deep, particularly too fast, there's a good chance you end up losing them and they turn off, they become bored, and you don't get the money that your startup potentially deserves, given the technology that you're building. Some ideas here is 1, stay away from the jargon. Don't go too deep. Don't expect everybody knows the technology at the level that you do. Distill it down and really try to summarize it in a way that the layperson can understand. Stick to outputs as much as possible. If you're talking about the technology, great to talk about a feature set, but try to bridge it again to how the technology output impacts your customers. Don't lose sight of that, it's super important. And then lastly, make sure you're talking about how the technology is different, is unique, and finally is scalable. Investors don't want this bespoke technology that can't scale. That's not a billion-dollar idea. They also don't want a technology that's a copycat or something that's being done before by maybe many competitors in your market space. So make sure your technology is scalable, it's competitive, it's something potentially new and different. Stay away from the jargon, and ultimately, additionally for technology, if you're able to show your technology, not just talk about it, makes your case so much better. And this could be, if you're early stage, these may be a little bit harder to come by, but if you have a demo, a wireframe, some kind of working model, if you have a machine, you're able to bring components, or at least the machine, or take people out to see it, it just makes your case that much better. Because something that is real, that works, that can be seen, ups your credibility significantly versus something you can just talk about, where there's a lot of doubt about will it work, how does it work, show me. Show whenever possible, show and tell, versus just tell and tell. Makes your pitch that much more powerful. So that's the technology slide. Typically here, again, 1 to 4 slides. You have maybe a slide or 2 on the actual specifications on the meat of the technology. And I think this is a good spot to put a lot of pictures and graphics in. What are you building? Are there wireframes? Are you building a piece of hardware that you can show? Maybe there's a manufacturing process you can show, the inventory you might have, you can show customers using it even better. You can show if you have demo videos, show. This is your opportunity to really kind of get the point across on what you're building and let people see it and believe it. And finally, the last section of the pitch deck is the team slide. To me, the team slide is one of the most important slides on your pitch deck. And the reason I tend to keep it last is because when you do a pitch, you have to think about the attention of the investors in the room. The team slide is that last lift back on why is this company amazing? What is your team amazing? How have you been able to gather these amazing group of people to focus on your product? So the team slide is a great place to talk about you a little bit more as a founder, what you've done. Do you have any experience in a startup? Have you had a successful exit in the past? What is your education? Have you won any awards? Really put yourself out there. Don't be afraid for you and your co-founders to dedicate a full page to yourself with a large picture, but on, again, those achievements, those accomplishments, your education, prior working history, because investors invest in people, and the founders are going to be front and center. CEO is going to be front and center with the investors. So if you're able to convince them that you're credible, it goes a long way. And generally the second to last or last slide is your team slide. Now this slide has pictures, people like to resonate with pictures, of your leadership team. Potentially if you're a smaller company or just starting out, you may not have a leadership team, so to speak, but you may have a few key early hires. Highlight them. Highlight your leadership team. This is your opportunity again to show how credible your company is by crowing about the amazing people that you've assembled. Highlight their achievements, highlight their accomplishments. Has anybody similar to the founders, had an exit before? Has anybody worked in the space before? Are they an expert? Are they somebody that is credible by themselves in the space? You can also go a little bit deeper here and talk about the strengths of the team, how they complement your strengths, and how they fill in potential gaps for you. You can also go a little bit further and talk about, I've assembled this team, here's who still needs to be hired. Maybe you're missing a sales lead as the company starts to scale a little bit and now you need to set up a proper sales channel. Maybe you're missing a key engineering hire. Those are people are good to highlight, because part of what you talk about when you raise funds is how are you going to be using those funds. This is an okay slide to do that on and say these funds are going to be used to deploy a sales team. We're going to hire a sales leader, etc. A few things you want to avoid. Don't go overboard on how many people you highlight. Again, keep it to your leadership team, keep it to some strategic key hires. If there's too many faces on, people aren't able to resonate with a large group of people. They want to resonate with a few key people, a few key hires. And yes, it may feel a little bit painful at times to exclude people, but here, sparser the better. Again, allowing that more deeper connection, more deeper discussion around the team, those key people that you brought on. And lastly, the final slide is typically a fluffier slide. This is pictures of the team in action. Maybe there's some partnerships you've signed, advisors you've brought on. You get more credibility, but also just a nice, fluffier slide, nice way to end the presentation. And that's it. So we've walked through the post-2 model in full now. We've talked about, again, the problem, how to hook your investors, what big problem are you trying to solve. We've talked about the opportunity, how to identify the TAM that you will be addressing. Talk about the dollars and potential returns for investors. We've talked about the solution, how to frame what you are solving in a pithy, outcome-generated way. And finally, we talked about the team and technology, really going a little bit deeper on what you're building, who you brought along, the technology you've been able to build, identifying if it's scalable, unique, and a game changer. Highlighting those relevant skill sets and how this team will get you to the promised land. And that, in a nutshell, is a pitch. Through this post-2 process, you have started big, you've gone down to the nitty-gritty, and you've also brought investors along with the understanding of what you're building and, most importantly, why you're building it. Too many people make the same mistakes around could we build it, not should we build it. And you using this post-2 model will have the opportunity to go a little bit deeper in that, because some of the work that you're doing, actually a lot of the work that you're going to be doing preparing this deck, will be very thought-evoking. You're going to be thinking through your strategy, you're going to be thinking through how to pitch it. As you continue to pitch, you're just going to get a lot of good feedback. It's going to refine your approach, going to refine your thinking. And that in and of itself is incredibly powerful. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here for this series, and I hope this has been helpful to you. I'd appreciate you commenting or asking any questions I can help you with in the comment section below. And you don't want to miss our final video where I'm going to be walking through an example pitch deck, utilizing the concepts of the post-2 model so you can see it in action. Again, appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then.